Showed up on scene. You were sitting in the doorway. You're kind of losing your balance. I was actually behind you. I was holding you. And then you just went completely limp in my arms. I looked at my partner. I said, hey, we got to go. We're wasting too much time. You get her legs. I got her up here. Let's pick her up. Let's get her on the gurney. Everything's happening in the back. And then things just started to keep changing. You know, we thought you were seasoned. It wasn't like a textbook seizure. So then you kind of started presenting with like stroke-like symptoms. So I'm like, man, what are we dealing with? You know, it kept changing. I said, hey, we got to get to Huntington. There's too many things going on, too many unknowns. Also taking into consideration, you know, the babies. And transferred over to the hospital bed. As everybody said, right, all hands on deck. Everybody was there.
We got respiratory therapy in there. We noted that your blood pressure was super high, indicating that you were eclamptic, and that was likely what was going on. So we acted upon that right away. We called OB-GYN right away. We called NICU right away. We called everybody right away. Is that at some point, because you lost your pulses, you stopped breathing, and your heart stopped. OB-GYN was there, and she delivered your babies. It was amazing. I am very grateful for the team that we had that day. I am very grateful for the resources that were upon us, available to us, to help this miracle happen. Because it's not us. This happened from somewhere else, beyond what we know.
Jenny looks up at the monitor and she's like, that looks like VFib. And I'm like, that is VFib. And it wasn't a second. Jenny was like on that chest doing compressions.
The morning Celina arrived at the hospital was one of the most memorable of my career. I arrived in the emergency department to find Celina being intubated. My obstetric team began the process of placing the babies on the monitor. Moments later, she experienced cardiac arrest. While they performed chest compressions, I and my colleague, Dr. Leon, prepared to perform an emergency C-section in the emergency department. You probably know we usually perform cesarean sections in the operating room. Even emergency C-sections are generally in the operating room. But when there's cardiac arrest, it's really important to get the babies out right away to redirect blood back to the mom, and I was just so worried about your other children. It's a very shocking time. The threat of you not being able to return to your two children was thankfully averted with the quick action of the emergency room staff and the team. Dedicated team of individuals in a hospital that prioritizes the delivery of care to our community. It was a very stressful event for all involved, but I really want to emphasize the deep gratitude I have for the outcome.
And it was a Herculean effort. I was coordinating medications between the 3 different teams. We had NICU, OB, ER, and everyone came together in that moment, and it was amazing.
One of the things I remember was asking you to open your eyes, and you couldn't open your eyes, and I was like, oh no, this is one of the things that we measure, your Glasgow coma scale and your ability to follow command, and you weren't opening your eyes. It just reminded me how important it is to open your eyes.
Right.
And when you did that, it made me happy because it told me that you're going to be able to recover from this.
You know, in the ICU at least, a lot of us are moms with young kids, and that day for some there was 4 of us on, and we just all like looked at each other at the end of the day. We're like, how do we go home tonight? We don't pray often, but like there's 4 kids who may not have a mom tomorrow.
Being there, doing compressions, saving you while these babies are coming out, and I looked over at Juan, and he just was like, I don't know really what to do. Do I cry? Like, this is happening to my wife. I also just saw my babies born. Like, what is this? What a juxtaposition, and just overwhelmed.
I remember you standing in the doorway. That was tough. It was tough looking at you. By the next day, we were able to get information from Jenny to our department to let us know we had the best outcome we could have asked for.
I'm so happy that that we had a good outcome.
Oh my gosh, I know, it's like...
And I remember helping you sit up for the first time. You'd say, it's okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get through this. Keep going, you would tell, And you're resilient, you did it.
I knew what would happen if I did it.
So cool to see you from being so lethargic and only intermittent periods of alertness.
Right.
Too, I remember toward the end of your ICU stay, I'd be like, hey, Celina, you'd be like, hey, girl.
And I was at a stroke, I think a couple days later. I think you were in line for a CT scan, and I looked at the neurologist, I was like, is that her? Is she awake? Is she talking? He's like, yeah, she's yelling at her husband right now. It was amazing, and I just want to say, yeah.
Talk about this every day.
Yeah, it's just like such a life-changing event. Those decisions at that moment, like everything just happened perfectly.
I think things happen for a reason.
And it's also a beautiful example of our collaboration with EMS and how fortunate we are to have such an amazing EMS service.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for caring for me and the girls.
Thank you for saving her life. These two little girls also.
You are the reason why we do what we do, and you are the miracle that, you know, makes us us. And thanks to you, we have all kind of like, this case has brought us all together.
A true miracle. So I'm so happy that I'm the main star in the miracle. It's like, it makes for a better story.